Okay, so I'm hoping to turn this into a little YouTube video. But, so what's the most important thing you must remember when you're stringing a guitar is the knots that you tie at the bottom. The knots that you tie at the bottom cannot come loose, because when you put the strings in here at the top, you actually don't tie them at all. All you do is you pop it straight through. You can see the little end coming out there. And then you can just literally, you just pull the string out, so it's not tied down at all. So yeah, just be mindful of that. I'm just busy turning all of the bulkheads now so that I can get all the strings off, so that I can attend to that big mess at the bottom there. Oh my word. I'm also going to give this guitar a nice polish and a clean. But also I'm here to show you that restringing a guitar is not anything to be afraid of. As long as you got a pair of pliers and a bit of patience, it will work like a bomb. Under normal circumstances, this string would have actually snapped. So, and that can be quite a painful experience if you're busy playing. So we're very lucky. I don't know how this happened, that it just stretched and stretched and stretched. But anyway, here we are today, putting a brand new set of acoustic clear silver strings on. These are amazing. They're such a great set of strings, and they last for ages, and they just play so beautifully. They give us such a lovely tone. So yeah, those are the strings that I like to choose for my guitars. Okay, so what's happened here is this string has been stretched so much that I've turned the bulkhead as much as possible, but it's actually run out of thread. So I'm actually gonna have to try and find another way to fish all of this freaking string out. I'm gonna have to use pliers and try and cut it out, but I'll have to take all the rest of the strings off first. Ugh, I don't know how long I must have been playing this for. Well, it is called the Bri guitar for a reason. We're always a little drunkies when we play it. Shame, and it's always in the dark. I'm gonna give it some love now. Pretty much to the end of this tuning peg, I'm going to, sometimes I interchange the word tuning peg and bulkhead. It's actually correct to say tuning peg. When I've now got to the end of this one, I just want to show you how I'll be able to just pull the string out, and it's literally just tension that keeps it in place. Let me see if I can do it yet. Not quite. A little bit more around. I also just want you to note that the first 3 strings of a nylon string guitar are actually made, they do have metal on them, but it doesn't make them a steel string guitar. There's a big difference between a steel string guitar and a nylon string guitar. It's a completely different width fretboards. It's a totally different way of putting the strings on at the bottom. It's actually easier to restring a steel string. I did not know that because I've only started playing steel string recently, and I had to restring my steel string guitar. But yeah, we're going to teach you how to do this today. It's not rocket science either. So here we go. I'm going to pull the string out now. Ta-da! And shame, you can see those things really need a clean, eh? So, what we would say in Afrikaans is this is a lekker gemors. I am making headway with the pliers, and it should all be out soon. I actually own 4 different guitars. This one actually is kind of mine and kind of not. It's one of those Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants stories. So this is my best friend's guitar that I've basically had custody and ship over for freaking ever. So it is basically my guitar, but I always think of her when I play it. She's also the one that put the EADGBE at the bottom, so you can always tell what string is what. But I do own 3 other guitars. So we've got a really beautiful proper Spanish guitar downstairs, and then we've got my stunning Yamaha, which I keep in a case, and that is my new steel string guitar, and the kids are not allowed to touch that one. And then I have a bit of a sad story one, which is a bit of a Frankenstein's monster. It was my guitar, and then I gave it to the kids, because I wanted them to learn how to play music, and they hadn't had much exposure, especially Amy and Marin, to be able to express themselves musically. So I gave them that guitar to play, and unfortunately it fell, and all the tuning pegs at the back here broke off. So it was basically unplayable, obviously, because the strings broke and it was impossible to retune them because there were no tuning pegs. But then my dad passed away, and I used his tuning pegs to sort of fix up that guitar. But it's been a nightmare. It hasn't really wanted to work, and the tuning pegs are the wrong way around for the guitar, and so I have 3 very playable guitars, which is this one, the Spanish one, and the steel string guitar. And then I've got my black baby that I need to pay more attention to, and just see if I can rather get some other tuning pegs instead of trying to use my dad's ones, because they're just not working on that guitar. And then I'll have 4 working guitars. But it's about time that this one got a clean and a service. It's looking really, really shoddy. Okay, so I have untied one string here at the bottom already, so I can pull that out. What's quite funny about this is now you need to untie the knot that you tried so hard to tie in the first place to make sure that it stayed in place. Remember that it's also tension that keeps this knot in place, so it's a lot easier to take off than it is to put on. So yeah, I will do that until all of the strings are off. Okay, so that is it. That is one big chamorse, or one big mess. All the strings are now off the guitar. So what I'll do now is, as soon as my children are awake, because it's flipping early in the morning here, I will get them to bring me some nice wood polish, and we'll give the guitar a nice clean before I even attempt to put on new strings. Once the strings are on, obviously it's impossible to clean. So I'm totally gonna rope my stepson, Marin, into helping me with this next part. Well, with everything this guitar has been through, it'll probably never be perfect, but it sure as heck won't ever be shinier. Okay guys, we're getting ready to restring now that the polishing and cleaning has been done. These are my favorite strings. They are absolutely beautiful. Unlike the regular traditional brass strings, these silver strings give a really clear and loud sound that you don't ordinarily achieve with traditional strings, which is really quite cool if you're looking to play guitar on stage, because you just can't get the volume out, and obviously you can't plug in a regular nylon string acoustic guitar, so it just gives you that little bit of extra boost. The strings are also extremely comfortable. So I'm going to take you through how to tie the knots at the bottom and how to keep good tension. So let's look into the next stage of how this works. Okay guys, what's really awesome about this particular brand of strings is that each string becomes individually wrapped, as you can see. It's really freaking amazing. It's also very helpful for you to keep track of what you put on where. They are in order, but just so you know, they should go from thickest to thinnest. You'll always start out with metal strings and end off with plastic strings. So you start with the thickest metal string, which will be your top E, the one closest to you, and then it then it goes E, A, D, and then it would be G, which would be your first plastic string, or sort of, it looks like plastic, looks like a bit of fishing wire. And then the thickest one of that would be the one that you start with there, and then ending off with the bottom E would be your thinnest plastic string. Okie dokes, let's have a look at some more of how this all works. Okay, so I learned a new trick today. I normally start the other way around, but basically all we're gonna do is, you can see, jeepers, this guitar's been through a lot. You can see the holes where the strings go through at the bottom of the guitar, and then we'll do the tuning pegs after that's done. So I normally start the other way around, but let's try it this way around. The YouTube video that I just watched tells us to tie a basic knot and then pull it tight and tie it then to the tuning peg. So let's see how that goes. I'm gonna try and prop up my camera so that you can see what's going on. Okay, the first step is you need to thread your string. As I explained, the top E needs to be the thickest metal string, and you're gonna just thread it through the first hole, which is the hole for the E, and then we're just gonna tie a very basic knot. Okay, great. Now that we've tied our knot, the best thing to do with the remaining piece of string, this little bit here, is we're actually going to tuck it back into the hole just to give it a little bit more secureness. Okay, so that already looks way more neat, like super neat, and more professional than the last time I restrung this guitar, which was 5 years ago. If you're playing a guitar often enough, you should actually replace the strings every 6 months. So I'm not surprised that the strings actually busted. As I said in a previous video, I'm just really glad that it didn't snap and whack someone in the face. So yeah, that is the bottom string, and we will just rinse and repeat. Let me just show you how to do the tuning peg, which is even easier than tying the bottom knot. Just a side note, on this plastic bar that's above the bridge, you'll see that there are indentations, and each indentation is for each string, and it makes a huge difference when playing to make sure that the strings are in place and actually go through the indents, even though they're not terribly deep. It just helps them to not slip out of place. Okay, your first E gets the first tuning peg, so we're gonna go here for your first E string. Okay, gently we're gonna thread it through the hole, and we're just gonna pop it over. You'll be able to see as I turn the tuning peg that there is actually a hole on either side, and this is what will help you wind and create tension so that your string stays in place on this side. You can see that the plastic is actually broken off here. It's actually disintegrated. That's how old this guitar is. But you know, the bits are in place, the most important bits for us to still be able to play, restring, and look after this instrument. So as we feed it in, just try and remember that each string needs to follow the same pattern so that you're tuning in the same direction. I am a big transgressor of this, and I often do it the other way around, and all of a sudden you realize halfway through tuning that you need to turn the peg the other way around from all the other strings. So try to keep a good pattern of everything going in the same direction. So we're going to start at the bottom and turn towards the rest of the guitar instead of away. Okay. Alright, we threaded it through, which is really easy. And you really don't need to leave a lot sticking through, because there will be a lot of tension created that'll keep the knot in place. So that's all you need, and then you can start tuning in the direction that I explained to you. We're going to tune towards the guitar. You may find that you're going to need to guide the string a little bit just to make sure that you end up with a good spread of string over the whole peg, rather than just ending up with a clump. It's just much better. There is a tool that you can buy that actually makes this process go a whole lot faster and winds the tuning pegs for you, but I like to be in control of it with my hand, especially right towards the end when the tension starts getting high, just to make sure that the string doesn't snap. So it's up to you whether you want to use the tool. It does help because your hands get tired. But yeah, I prefer to do it this way. Also, just to note, if you struggle to get hold of any piece of the string, you can always use a pair of trusty pliers to help you out. Do not use scissors or your teeth, which is how I used to do it when I was like 13. So yeah, keep the pliers handy just in case you need them. Okay, we can see now that this string is properly in place. At this end, you're also going to find a plastic bar with little indentations where your string needs to go. So just make sure it goes through that. Doing this process yourself obviously is a huge money saver. A set of strings costs you about $20 US, which is 200 odd rand. In South African currency. And yeah, so I'm going to worry about putting it actually in tune once all the strings are on. It's pointless to tune it now. Okay, I found that my tuning pegs were sticking a little bit, so you can either use something called Q20, or this is basically the same stuff, and it just helps the tuning pegs not get so stuck, and it helps them to flow a little bit more smoothly when you're winding them. And hopefully it'll also help me clean up the metal a bit, make it look a little bit more shiny. Obviously you can't use wood polish on metal, and you can't use metal polish on wood. So yeah, you use the right thing in the right place. Wow, would you look at that? It's amazing what you can do with a little bit of polish and a toothbrush and a rag. Look how shiny that is. Obviously it's lovely to see it shine like this, but it's also for practical purposes and makes it easier for you to tune the guitar. But yeah, a little bit of love goes a long way. Obviously I'm turning the pegs as I go to make sure that I get to all the sides of the pegs for easy winding. And also remember that treating the metal with Q20 also prevents rusting. So you definitely don't want that to happen, because then the tuning pegs won't work at all. So a little bit of tender loving care is so important. Look, sometimes it is important for you to send your guitar into a proper music shop for them to do a proper service. But if you can't do it on your own, why not? It'll save you a lot of bucks. You might note that my tuning pegs actually don't match, and there's a funny story behind this. I think I may have mentioned in a previous video that this guitar actually doesn't technically belong to me. It's a borrowed guitar, but it's like one of those things where like it's borrowed for forever basically. So it was obviously dropped at some stage and the pegs disintegrated, and normally what happens is you have to replace this whole thing, but somehow my friend found somebody who could just replace the plastic bits, and normally that's impossible because they're normally super glued in place, but however he got it right, that is why they're not matched, but normally they would be matching, just so you know what's potting. I think by the color of the tuning peg inside, I think these are the original pegs, and then those are the ones that were put on when the guitar was dropped and they snapped. So yeah, this poor guitar has been through a lot. Okay, I just want to show you how cute this is. So look how each packet is marked. So it says 6th string, 5th string, 4th string, 3rd string, 2nd string, and 1st string. Of course, we are going to do everything backwards because you always start with your top E, and while it is the lowest sounding E, it is the one that's closest to where you're playing. It'll be the 1st string you see. That is why we call it the top E. Even though it is the 6th string, it's the other way around. So yeah. Okay, obviously the other cool thing is, as you can see, I've started now with the next string along, which is the A string. But the direction that we're tuning in, or winding in, is actually cool for another reason. It employs the righty-tighty, lefty-loosey principle. So if you're going to pull tight, which is to wind to the right-hand side towards the guitar, it means you're going to get a higher note. Whereas if you tune to the left, which is loosey, you are going to go down in tones or semitones. So that's pretty cool. That's another nifty trick of why tuning in uniform is a good idea. I'm very bad at doing that, but I'm going to try and do it properly this time around. Okay, so this is like the most annoying part of restringing a guitar. Sometimes you realize that the knot that you tied at the bottom is actually not tight enough. So when you start tuning, all of a sudden it pops out of the hole. So you just have to loosen here. As I told you, you loosen, lefty-loosey, until you've got enough string, and then you try and tie a better knot, perhaps with 2 knots. Let's give it a go and see what happens. Then I'm going to tune the entire guitar, play you a chord or 2, and then give you a little reminder that new strings take a while to settle in. So they will go out of tune very fast for the next little while. But the idea is to just keep playing, because that helps the strings adjust a lot quicker than just leaving it in the corner of a room. So yeah, here I go tying knots again. Alrighty, so I'm struggling a little bit with my knots. I think the YouTube video didn't quite work out. I had a feeling that was gonna happen. One wrap around is not enough. So when you're tying the knot, you're gonna have to tie it at least 2 or 3 times and then do the tuck, because otherwise it just slips out and it's a pain. A good trick is, obviously now is when your pliers come in handy, because you're gonna hold on to the end of your knot there, the string, you see there, while you're tuning, so it'll actually help tighten the knot for you. And we'll do that with every single string until we are satisfied and we have good tuning. Hi everybody, so our guitar is finally in tune, and yeah, I'm just going to play you a little sample to show you that we've got the E, A, D, G, B, E's in place. And yeah, so let me move my phone down. So you're looking at my guitar instead of at my face. just a brief musical interlude. You can see how quickly the strings go out of tune, so don't beat yourself up if that does happen. It'll do that for the next at least week or two. The more you play, the more the strings will stay in place. So just remember that. Let's do these last two that are taking a little bit long. Almost there. Also really helps if you learn the sounds of these strings, then you know exactly what they're supposed to sound like. Just get used to how each string sounds naturally before you start playing anything. It just helps you later on when you're doing any kind of tuning, or if you're looking for bass notes. That is a really awesome trick. Anyway, that's it from me. That's how to tune and restring an acoustic guitar.